Welcome to ANF Sports Tonight.
Get yourself a mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to need this. Welcome to ANF Sports Tonight. I'm sports producer Scott Pennyman here with, look, the man who needs no introduction, okay? Frederick, a.k.a. Freddie Buckets, a.k.a. Mr. NBA. Fred, how's it going on a Friday?
It's going great on
Yeah?
a Friday. Yeah,
Yeah.
Scott. I mean, just it's Friday.
It's-
Short work week. I can I can definitely get down with these 3-day work weeks. I had Monday and Tuesday off, so
Must be
looking
nice,
forward to the
man.
weekend. And we've got a lot to talk about in this. I haven't actually physically seen the rundown to see what it is. Okay.
All right,
think
so
I
we're
have to put it
starting.
together. All right, I see. I know what the topics are. I didn't know what order they
Okay.
were in.
All right,
so now
so-
that I know the order of operations,
So
let's roll.
You said your day was going great, right? You said your day was going pretty good, but probably not as good as Dejounte Murray's week has been, right?
Oh, yeah.
So my man Dejounte, 4-year extension, $120 million. He's going to be Atlanta Hawk for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the dynamic of this team, right? I mean, he's taken care of through 2027
Yeah.
on the contract side. Trae Young is taken care of through about that same amount of time from the contract side. It looks like their backcourt is pretty together for the next 4 years or so. If they don't make any more trades, obviously Trae Young's name has been floated in the trade market. But if they keep these guys together for the next 3 or 4 years, what do you kind of see the trajectory of where this team might go?
I'm just really interested to see the Hawks this upcoming season because I think you'll see more of a Quinn Snyder type of team out there. Same guys for the most part anyway,
Right.
but you'll see his fingerprints on it a little bit more than you did at the end of the year. I think they were just trying to piece it together as well as they could. And at times it did look pretty decent. They're going to have to play better defense, and DJ is he's a good defender as a guard. Would actually be encouraged if I was a Hawks fan by this extension because I think that guards like him, he's good length, he's a good defender. He's still young, but sort of in the prime, just like Trae, going into what would be the prime, both those guys, for the next several years. So if you're going to keep them both, which I'm assuming they're going to keep Trae, that would be a blockbuster, and I think it would be kind of out of left field if it happened now compared to, what maybe what I thought at the start of the offseason, but it sounds like Trae isn't going anywhere. I think that's a good backcourt right there. Now, they drafted a guard. We know that.
Yes.
So
A bigger guard.
right, and also, you have your guards are all set. Your backcourt looks good. Your front court, on the other hand, John Collins is gone. So we'll see, what they do to replace him.
Yeah.
But you're going to need some guys to continue to improve in the front court. You're going to need better front court play. You're going to need better defensive play overall from the Hawks. But I like it. I mean, I'm a Dejounte Murray fan. I didn't like what he did at the end of the game against the Celtics. I don't think anybody.
course
I don't
you
think he
didn't.
liked that
No.
either. Cost him a game.
Yeah.
Because of pushing a ref, which was kind of
Irresponsible.
just a weird thing to do in a
Yeah.
game that wasn't didn't come down to any glaring obvious play, right?
It's frustration.
Yeah.
Frustration on his part.
Yeah. So
can't do it.
there wasn't anything obvious in that game that,
Yeah.
that I think a lot of the fans were like, "What is he so mad about?"
Right.
But anyway, that aside, I thought he had a pretty decent first year in Atlanta, and I like it. And hey, $120 million. I mean, that's a decent amount of money to me and you, Scott. But to NBA players, that's not middle of the road, but it's not close to what guys like Desmond Bane are getting.
Right.
And,
It's not superstar money.
Halliburton.
Right.
But how much better of a player is Bane than Dejounte Murray? Is he?
I think he's better,
Yeah.
significantly better. I wouldn't say he's
I mean, he's gonna be
significantly
making what,
better.
$50 million a year, pretty close to it.
Yeah, he's
Bane?
got a pretty big bag. Yeah.
Yeah. So DJ's making 30 a year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think. Not
a bad
I think
number.
it's my point is it's reasonable money for
sure.
a guy of his caliber.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, like I say, they were very. He was a guy who they targeted last offseason, right? Because they thought that he kind of fit what they wanted to do. Now, I just think moving forward, it's about the pieces around those guys, right? I mean, it's about the pieces around. I think you've identified the fact that Trae and Dejounte are going to be here for the long haul. I think that's going to happen, like you said. I don't think they're going to trade Trae Young, which they probably shouldn't trade Trae Young. So now it's about really sort of diagramming this team in the manner in which you want. And we've seen teams, right, that are backcourt driven win championships, right? I mean, it was one across the country in Golden State. That's obviously, I'm not saying that these guys are going to be Steph and Clay, but I think we have seen NBA teams now, especially in today's NBA, win with a backcourt driven team. So I think that, you know, it's a copycat league, right?
You're right.
So teams are going to try to say, hey, you know, if Steph and Clay can do it, we can maybe do the same thing. So, and I think Trae, he's sort of molded his game after Steph Curry, and you can tell he's, you know, what we kind of call him, he's one of Steph Curry's children, right? I mean, as far as you could tell that he grew up watching Steph and watching how he played the game. So maybe the Hawks have said that's how we're going to try to mold our team and model our team. And if we're going to be a championship contending team one day, that's how it's going to come.
And your bigs need to fill in, you know, the gaps that are left when you have a guard-driven and kind of a wing. So the Hawks, I think we can say, are more guard-driven. Then their wings aren't bad.
For sure.
Wings are all right. And, you know, the bigs definitely need to make up for any deficiencies that you have when you have Trae and Dejounte Murray on the floor at the same time. You know, Dejounte Murray's in today's NBA, average to maybe slightly taller than average guard, maybe even just average. And Trae, of course, we know is smaller than average. So the bigs really need to take care of the glass and do all, protect the rim, do all the stuff that that you're not going to get from those guys. So. Yeah, I'm excited. Looking forward to it. Speaking of a guy who moves a lot like Dejounte Murray, but is literally a foot taller, Vic making his debut tonight.
He's playing tonight.
You know, the only thing bigger than Vic in Vegas right now is that sphere. Have you seen that thing?
No. What is it?
You haven't seen the sphere?
I don't.
The big, like, 17,000 foot arena that has like LED lights all over it. So it's just this giant sphere, and they have it. So it looks like a gigantic whatever they want it to look like.
You think I would know about that? Okay.
All right. Well, then forget it. Well,
no. That's look. I mean, you know.
Listen, go on Threads. You'll see it. No, I'm just kidding.
I will. You know, with Wemby's debut, man, it's kind of crazy. I've never seen a summer league game get this kind of hype before. But then again, I don't know that probably since LeBron James have we seen this kind of player participate in the summer league before. So look, it's gonna be fun. In today's NBA, no matter what he does tonight, look, I mean, this is an NBA Summer League game. It's essentially barely a glorified practice with most of these guys won't even be on NBA rosters. A lot of them won't be on NBA rosters. A lot of them are trying to make NBA rosters. So I think no matter what happens with Wemby tonight, it's probably going to be a little overblown. If he scores 30, gets 10 rebounds and 10 assists, they're going to talk about how great he is and how he's going to revolutionize the game. If he struggles tonight, it's, well, man, he can't even score against a team where half the guys aren't even going to be in the NBA next season. Come on, man. You know, so I think no matter what happens, there's going to be an overreaction. But I think that me as just a basketball fan and someone who covers the game, I just want to look back and see him on somewhat of an NBA floor, not quite an NBA floor, and just kind of see him in action, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So I made the crack about Threads, but if there was a sport that you would associate with Twitter, I think NBA is probably the #1 sport associated with Twitter.
Right.
I mean, there's just so many people on Twitter that follow the NBA. They're these sort of enthusiasts that like kind of half cover a team, even though they're not really getting paid for it.
Right.
You know, kudos to them for doing it. But the point I want to make is that you're going to have a big social media reaction to whatever Vic does in the Summer League. And you mentioned LeBron James. When he was in Summer League, or I don't even know if he played. I think he did.
He did, yeah.
Right? When he was in Summer League.
Played against D. Wade.
There was no Twitter.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
You had to, there was no NBA TV.
No, you had to watch it.
There was you maybe saw some of the games on ESPN. They might not have even been broadcast then. You probably saw just a couple of clips here and there. Yeah. So It's a different world. And like you said, prepare yourself for a massive overreaction to whatever he does. I mean, that's what the talking heads, not us here on ANF Plus Sports Tonight.
Not these talking heads.
That's not the way we roll. But the other talking heads that you might see on an actual television instead of any of a number of devices that you can watch us on, they will overreact to what he does.
Yeah. So, we'll see how it goes. Like I say, I'll just be watching just to see him on the court, just kind of see how he moves against other sort of NBA level players. And I'm not going to make a huge deal out of it no matter what happens any way or the other. So
yeah, but still going to be fun to see.
Of course.
I mean, it's like Kevin Durant 4 inches taller.
For sure.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So with that, that's kind of the feel that I get when I see him play.
Same here.
Probably a better handle than Durant.
Oh, we'll see, man. Hey, talk about fun to see. This weekend series here, the Braves down in Tampa to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. This is a battle of the two teams with the best record in baseball, right? I mean, it's the best National League team as far as record, best American League team. Braves sweep.
Whew. I mean, that would be a lot of losses in a row for the Rays. Haven't they lost? I think they've lost 5 in a row now. They just got swept by Rick Fallbaum's Phillies.
They've struggled. They've
hit the skids a little bit here. I mean, you look at the AL East is loaded up with some pretty good teams, and even the Red Sox at the bottom of the AL East, I think, are 11 and a half, 12, whatever it is.
Yeah, they are.
Whatever
11,
it is,
11
that's that's last place.
That's a tough division, too.
That is a very tough division, and if the Rays aren't careful, they may find themselves very quickly in a dogfight just to win the AL East, which seemed like a foregone conclusion a month and a half ago when they were just absolutely lighting everybody up.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a bigger series for the Rays than it is for the Braves. The Braves are cruising. They've won 9 out of 10.
8.5 game lead in the NL East.
8.5 game lead, separated themselves from the AL East, NL East, which was last time I was on here. I talked a little bit about the potential to be able to do that over the holiday stretch, and they've done that. And now, maybe just go into the All-Star break, rolling even more if they can take care of business in Tampa. It is unfortunate to see like a marquee matchup in such a ridiculously bad venue, the Trop.
No one ever likes that arena, man. No one likes that stadium. They've been talking bad about it forever. Are they going to get a new stadium soon down there?
I hope so, because you look at some of the, you look at, in baseball, to me, you either have the classics, Fenway, Wrigley, whatever. That
of course, we start with Fenway. No, I'm joking.
No, I mean, they're quirky in their own right, but they, in a good way, because they've been around forever. And then you have some of the modern parks, and my son was just at the one in Arlington, said it's incredible.
Oh yeah.
He said you don't even feel like you're inside, because Texas, they finally realized that it's like 110 degrees there all summer, so probably
crazy.
A good idea to put a roof on the place.
Yeah,
it doesn't even feel like it. You feel like you're outside. And then you have the Trop. It's a joke. And, this is being talked about as like a potential World Series preview. I mean, I kind of hope it isn't, just because it's the Rays.
Oh, man, come on, man. Let's get the Rays in the World Series.
Don't you want to see the Braves? I want the Braves, obviously, to make the World Series, but wouldn't you rather see them
I'd rather see the Guardians. That's where I'd rather see them play.
Yeah, the Red Sox, I was going to say. But, big,
I'd rather see them play
55-15 finish coming up for the Red Sox.
All right, well, we'll see, man. They're in last place right now, but they are 2 games above 500, which they have that's if they were in the AL Central, that'd be good enough for first place.
Right.
So it kind of shows you,
Weird
it's kind of it's weird how baseball works out. Baseball is a crazy sport. Hey,
so I expect the Braves to go in there and take 2 or 3.
Okay, I'm gonna say sweep. I'm gonna say Braves get the sweep. So we'll see. Ooh. We'll see. All right, so our buddies over at Avalon Sports, right? They come out with this poll of the top 25 players in the SEC.
Okay.
Ahead of the college football season. And wouldn't you know it, at the very top of that list, they have UGA tight end Brock Bowers, everything tight end, right? It seems like he's been there for 2 seasons already. It seems like he has received every award, every accolade that you can get. Well, he's at the top of that list. They have him as the #1 player returning next season in the SEC. And also, honorable mention here, at the end of the top 10, number 9 is Georgia safety Malachi Starks. So they got both sides of the ball covered in the top 10 at UGA. So when you think about it right now, would you say that Brock Bowers is the best player in college football as a whole?
Well, then you'd have to say the word Heisman probably in there too, which would be
Sure, I'm gonna say it.
incredible to have a tight end in the the
Right.
conversation for that. It's interesting that this came out because I saw a mock draft
Yes.
for next year. This was, everyone I think by this point knows I'm a New England fan, and
For sure.
it was in an email, and it was basically like, oh, the mock draft has Patriots selecting stud tight end or something along those lines. And so I'm like, give me a break. And it was a picture of Bowers. So I click on the link, of course, and it has the Patriots selecting 12th in the draft and taking Bowers. If Brock Bowers is healthy this year and healthy going into the draft,
He'll be going
and is
before
the
12.
12th pick in the draft, I don't know what I'll do. But I'll do something because Scott. I mean, he's like a top 4 guy, I think, in the NFL draft next year.
So
I think he's that good.
So basically, the Patriots will be getting their next Gronk.
If they got him at 12, which I don't see. And first of all, why are the Patriots picking 12? I mean, how can you win the AFC East and pick 12? That doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah, those two things don't coincide because of course we all know the Patriots are going to win the AFC East, right?
Well, yeah, that's a whole other topic for another night. But
Sure.
I definitely think Brock Bowers. I don't know if he's in the Heisman conversation. I mean, that might be a little bit much because somebody's got to get him the ball enough.
Oh, they're going to get him the ball. I mean,
But you know how
they
Georgia
beat
is.
you over
They
the
spread
head.
the wealth a lot, so he will get the ball. But is he going to put up to be a tight end and be in that Heisman conversation?
Right.
He would have to have 15 touchdowns. 1,200 yards.
I think 15 touchdowns is possible.
75 catches, 80 catches.
I don't think he's going to have 80 catches.
Well, they play 13, games at this point, whatever it is. So, 80 catches is 6 a game.
He's not going to look the way UGA plays and Kirby
That's what
Smart
I'm
runs
saying.
his
That's
offense.
what I'm saying. So he's never going to put up the
gonna-
numbers
yeah.
that would get him in the Heisman conversation. He's just not going to do it. But is he one of the top 6 players in college football
sure.
next year? I say definitely.
I think the great thing about him, I think what may put him in the Heisman conversation at some point, is the fact that the way UGA plays, the way Kirby Smart and their offense kind of go, they get Brock Bowers the ball in so many different ways. I mean, he catches short passes. He'll catch passes downfield. They even give him, the ball on reverse and handoff. So I think one thing that he does have in his favor is the fact that the various ways that they're able to get him the football, I think lends itself to maybe him being in the Heisman conversation. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman Trophy just for the simple fact it's kind of wild to even think that a tight end could win the Heisman Trophy. Yeah. But I think for how he's used in that offense, I think it's going to give him the chance to maybe be in the hunt.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it's such a numbers thing with the Heisman sometimes, that especially if you're going to be a position player that's not a running back or a quarterback. If you're, you have to just have numbers that are off the charts. But 2 other things that I'll say about it is one, the mailman, got him the ball for the past couple of years. Will somebody else be able to deliver? He got the ball on time. He got the ball in rhythm. He got the ball a lot of times in a great position to do something after the catch. So we'll see if that continues because you don't look as good if somebody's throwing the ball behind you or if it's late or whatever. And a lot of those routes do sometimes open you up. I'm talking about not the bubble screens, but a lot of those seam routes can open you up to some hits if you're not – if the ball isn't delivered in the right way. And the second thing I'll say is you mentioned Malachi Starks on there at number 9.
He's big time.
A couple of things about that. I mean, he should be on that list at number 9 based on what he was coming out of high school.
So he's a sophomore too.
Right. So he should be on that list, and it should come as no surprise at all that Georgia, the top dogs in the SEC, for a couple of years and expected to be again this year, should have at least 2 guys in the top 10 of that list. And I think that if you were to go back at the end of the year, redo the list, I think that there might be 3 or 4 dogs on that top 10.
Look, there's some guys here. I mean, just as I'm looking at the top 5. Now, mind you, this is just the SEC right here as far as this one. I love number 3 right here. If for no other reason, I love his name, Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Oh, wow.
From Alabama, man. Any guy last name Kool-Aid, man.
First name
you know he's got to be
Kool-Aid.
sweet, right? You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So,
there you go.
There you go. But number 2 on that list, Harold Perkins from LSU. I did not watch a whole lot of LSU football last year, but I saw one game when Harold Perkins just pretty much destroyed the game. He's a outside linebacker, pass rusher, perfect 3-4 outside linebacker. I'm sure NFL scouts are just drooling all over him already right now because that's the kind of position that NFL teams crave this day and age of the NFL.
Yeah.
And I just saw him just wrecking the game. I think he had like 3 or 4 sacks in a game. So I think he is going to be guy. He had 8.5 sacks total last year. So he got, I'm telling you, whatever game I was watching, he had like 3 or 4 alone in that game.
Wow.
So yeah, I think he's going to be somebody to really watch. And just that whole LSU team, I'm kind of interested in too because of really first good season under their new head coach last year. Why is his name not coming to me? Brian
Kelly.
Brian Kelly.
Yeah. We mentioned that last time we were on him, but I think we're both very curious to see what LSU brings
under
in
BK.
the upcoming year. All right, well, we'll go on to the next one, but also Kool-Aid, much better first name, I think, for like a nose tackle, because then there's just NIL money right there. I mean, Kool-Aid man breaking through the wall. I mean, it's just perfect, right?
Hey, Kool-Aid, right? He just comes through and break right through. Now, what's kind of all right? So, what's kind of funny here? I just kind of chuckle when I look at this last topic. I know we talked about Victor earlier, and we were also talking about Wimbledon too. So it kind of got me. So Kristen Eubanks, I thought, but
I thought we did have Christopher Eubanks. We don't.
Yeah.
What do we have? Wemby?
But it's funny because I'm like, that could also be Wimbledon, right? Wemby, right?
Yeah. Wemby. Anyway, that says Wemby, but we'll talk Wemby.
Yeah.
That's what all the people who know call Wimbledon.
No.
Yeah, so Christopher Eubanks, and I'm sure there's a few people that are like, who? And honestly, count me as one of them, but former Georgia Tech player, right? He's doing pretty well, though. He's having a season.
It was kind of crazy because last week I saw he won at the ATP.
Yeah.
So he won his first ATP title, and then just to see right now how he's doing over in Wimbledon, I mean, he's already in the he's already in the 3rd round. So it's kind of crazy. He went to Georgia Tech from the Atlanta area. So it's really cool just to see a kid who started Georgia Tech, 27, ATP, and just really just doing what he's doing at Wimbledon right now. It was really unexpected because today's win was kind of an upset against like the number 1 player from Britain.
Yeah. No, that's impressive. And he's having a great season. So he's moved up. I think he's 40-something now in the tour rankings. If you look at his tour rankings over time, he spent a lot of time around 200, 150 for years and years and years. And at 27, let's face it, he's not the youngest guy anymore. He's in the prime for sure. But it is kind of surprising to see a guy who's been on the tour for so long all of a sudden just it really isn't all of a sudden, because if you look at his rankings, he has steadily been getting better over the last couple of years, but it's really more noticeable this year. He just won a tournament earlier this year for the first time, so he's making a little cash as well, and now advancing 3rd round Wimbledon. Awesome, I mean, great to see. From all indications, one of the most liked guys in the locker rooms on tour. He said he's just like the nicest guy on the tour. So everybody loves him. Everybody's happy for his success that he's having right now. And I think the Atlanta Open's coming up later on this month.
Yeah.
So if he wins another match or two of Wimbledon, I don't know what the flexibility is for the people at the Atlanta Open to be like, hey, what do you think? Because he was in it last year. He did lose in one of the qualifying rounds last year. But if he wins one more match at Wimbledon,
come on, man.
Then he's going to end up. Then you're going to start to hear a lot more about it, right? If he comes out and loses his next match at Wimbledon, I don't think there's going to be too much, said about it. But if he does win another one, I don't know. Just throwing it out there, be cool to have him.
It's pretty cool too. He's a super tall dude, 6'7", man. I mean,
they're all like. That's one thing you don't realize until you. I've covered the Atlanta Open before, and Isner.
Oh, yeah,
I went out
for
there.
sure.
And, I mean, it's just like, wow. These guys are gigantic, and that's why they can serve it at 350 miles an hour.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy when he was here last year before the Atlanta Open, Isner.
Yeah.
And I know, with me, I'm not as familiar with tennis as I am with other sports. This guy, I thought he was a basketball player. He walked through the door, man. He's looking down. I'm like, man, he's going to dunk on somebody. He was like 6'10". It was crazy. I'm like, wow. I didn't think tennis players were that tall. I mean, most of the tennis players who I've seen in my life up close have been like 5'10", 5'11", maybe 6 feet tall. I mean, this guy, I didn't realize there were that many tall
Well, the
tennis
big
players.
servers are for sure, And I actually don't even know if Eubanks is that big of a server. He did hit a lot of winners today, though, so that was good to see. Or when he won his last match in Wimbledon.
Yeah,
but
and that's cool. Just at the end of the day, it's really cool to see a local kid from Georgia Tech doing well.
Yeah,
on that
not just
Wimbledon
a Georgia
stage.
Tech student, an Atlanta kid.
Atlanta kid went to Georgia Tech, and he's doing really good on that national stage. So I mean, on that world stage at Wimbledon.
Yeah, it's interesting because even though he's not a household name, I think Jamie Foxx is a mentor to him.
Dope.
Yeah, so he's got like these deep Atlanta connections too.
So as we get ready to wrap it up, Fred, as we get ready to head into the weekend, what's on your mind?
So we talked about how much money Dejounte Murray's making, and we talked about
We did.
Desmond Bain and Halliburton, all these other guys. And then you have one Damian Lillard up there in Portland who's making that kind of bank. And he's like, I just want to go to Miami. And this is something you guys probably talked about already this week.
We did.
But I wasn't on this week, so
for sure.
It's on my mind. What is this all about? Like, I understand kind of working behind the scenes a little bit with the organization to be like, hey, he's been loyal forever. Can you do us a solid? He'd really want to go to Miami. But they are just, seems like they're so upfront. So either Dame's people are not squashing the rumors enough, or they're putting it out there that doesn't want to go anywhere but Miami. And with the amount of money these guys make, it's like if you get traded to OKC or Toronto, hey, you go live in OKC in Toronto. And you go to Miami and the south of France and everywhere else you want to go in the offseason.
Yeah, but you got to understand why he's doing this and what point of his career he's in. He's 32 years old. At this point, I think it's become very important. His legacy is about he wants to win a championship, right?
That is not it at all.
Really?
So why doesn't he want to go to Boston?
Well, okay, so I think it's twofold. But look, he just looked at the NBA Finals, and he just saw the Miami Heat really desperately needing what he has to offer, a consistent 30-point-a-game scorer, a guy who can get a bucket in crunch time. He's literally would be probably most likely. I don't know if they would definitely win a championship, but I think if you're Miami and you're Damian Lillard on each side, you're seeing that a guy that could maybe be their final piece for an NBA championship. I mean, they're right there, and they were probably a Damian Lillard away from winning a championship. Okay. So I think it all goes hand in hand. Not is it just a championship level organization, but you're also talking about living in Miami.
All right, that's the number one thing you're talking about. All right, that's the number one thing you're talking about. I haven't had any real fiery hot takes on this one, but I'll say this. Go ahead. Go to Miami, Dame. You lost Gabe Vincent. You lost Strus. You may be laughing. Those are two basically undrafted guys, but they were key parts of the team last year. The team's going to be a lot thinner. The team's not getting any younger between Dame and Butler. So go ahead. Unless, the rookie out of UCLA is much better than his draft status was.
Look, I'm just saying, if you have a chance to kill two birds with one stone, you could play for a team that has as good a chance as anyone to win a championship in Miami, especially if he goes there, and you can live on South Beach and have $50 or $60 million a year in the process. I mean, it's a win-win situation, and I'm not mad at Dame for using this. He's using his leverage. He understands that he's a great player, and he's using his leverage to get to where he wants to go. We've seen a lot of players do that in the past, and he won't be the last. But anyway, that's the end of Sports Tonight on a Friday. Freddie Buckets, man, thanks for coming in.
Happy to be here for the weekend.
Have a good weekend, everybody. See you next week.